Hi there everyone, Lars here with a special rom-com recommendation brought to you by Camille's Harem. Not just a podcast for novice writers by novice writers, but also a YouTube channel by novice writers for novice writers. Because writing is an adventure, it's more fun with friends. And in this video, I want to talk about a really amazing rom-com manga that is called The Dangers in My Heart. This story right here is honestly unlike anything that I have read, probably ever. And it is one of the more unique stories that I have read recently. And for a rom-com, it is surprisingly intelligent. And especially for a romance story coming out of Japan, it feels like it's taking all of the rules and just breaking them over its knee. In my latest writer's rant, I raged about the fact that there are so many crazy, toxic romances out there that are propped up and painted up to be this amazing thing that we should be like, oh, that's what we should aspire towards. And within the realms of manga, there are so many romance stories out there that are honestly just awful. The power dynamics are all screwed up. The way that they flirt with each other is just creepy. The guy or the gal has some sort of weird complex that the other just falls for. It just gets weird. Yes, there are some great romance manga out there, but honestly, they are like diamonds in the rough. This one right here, The Dangers in My Heart, is one that I was expecting to be just yet more of that filth, and yet when you start reading it, holy cow. Yes, those first few chapters, you're like, why am I reading this dark, loathsome thing? And then it transforms like Nagatoro into just this beautiful experience. So let me break it down right here. This manga, which is soon going to be adapted into an anime, and I'm really looking forward to seeing how that turns out. This is a story about a young boy in Japanese middle school who is really low on the social ladder. A real outsider, not just an outsider, but this is a guy who views everyone and everything around him in a very dark, depressing light. He is the horrible hero of his own story, and he knows it too, and he will get revenge on everyone around him. Ichikawa is his name, and Ichikawa is looking to one day bring his dark retribution to the rest of society for the cruel way that the world has put him onto the bottom of the social ladder, at the bottom of the social totem pole, and at the top of this totem pole that he will one day tear down and burn is Yamada, who is this gorgeous model. And though she's just in middle school, she's already fairly famous, and she is the talk of the entire school. Everyone wants to get to know her. All the guys are drooling over her, and she just seems like a complete stupid airhead. Everything about her is everything that Ichikawa hates. And so as he dreams about one day murdering her and making this as a statement to the end of society, the society that has made him the wretched man that he is, he finds himself suddenly in a bunch of scenarios where he is forced to spend time with Yamada, or where Yamada just seems to not be going away from him. This draws out a very, very interesting dynamic. Because you see, there's way more going on here than Ichikawa ever suspected. Yamada is actually a very deep individual. A girl with all of her own likes, dislikes, passions, dispassions, dreams, and fears. And in someone like Ichikawa, she has found someone that she can have honest and open conversations with. But not only that, but there is a developing romance right here. And one of the things that I like about this particular story is that the girl is the one who really takes the lead. And the interesting thing is this, is that it actually makes really good sense. Normally, like I said, with a lot of manga, it's just like, why does this person love the MC? They have a weird complex. And when you look at Ichikawa, you're like, this is a guy who wants to murder the main female lead. That is not okay. How on earth does this become a good, precious, wholesome story? Well, the thing is this, is that Ichikawa, though he is, at least the way that he sees himself, as this wretched human being, he is also someone who's been brought up by a very decent family. His mom and his sister are definitely good people who want the best for him, who are very cheery, and it's just, honestly, we see it's just him being an angsty teenager is really what's going on here. And all of the good values that he should have as a healthy individual within society are there. And that's really actually who he wants to be. He's just kind of given into his depression from time to time and into his weird delusions. But when given a chance to actually be a good person or to do the wrong thing, what really shows in Ichikawa's real personality is that he would rather do the good thing. He would rather be an actual hero. He would rather be a nice guy than just be this deplorable person that he envisions himself to be. This is a very real, very complex take on a person, and this is something that way more people go through than they would probably ever tell you, because it seems like such a vast contradiction of personality that people would think that you're messed up in the head. Now, psychologists will tell us that we're all messed up in the head, but that's besides the point. Ichikawa is actually genuinely a good person, and Yamada picks up on that. One of the things I really enjoy is that she's able to see that when, well, one of their senpais is actually hitting on her really hard and isn't getting the subtle messaging that girls like to use. They like to use very subtle messaging that, guy, please get away from me. And I'm just going to say this as an aside to girls. Girls, if you find yourselves in a situation where a guy just isn't taking the hint, give it to him straight. Give him to him raw. Even slap him across the face if you absolutely have to. Anyway, this senpai right here is a handsome, devilish dunce who is hitting on Yamada and is not getting the message that she's not really into him. Well, this guy takes it upon himself to force Yamada to spend time with her, to which Ichikawa does the right thing and tries to break up the situation, and Yamada notices this. So Ichikawa was already someone who she could spend a little bit of time with, be a little bit more free and loose around, because he's not fawning over her like everyone else. And now she sees this guy actually has a good bone in his body, was willing to step in and save me from this scenario right here. And so she begins developing feelings for him. And it is such a great blossoming romance from that point on. I will say this, it takes a long time for them to actually get to that beautiful moment, and what's awesome is that there's still even more after that. This is a great story of two characters who don't understand each other, figuring out how to communicate, how to understand one another, and both of them overcoming a pretty wide variety of weaknesses and faults within themselves to become better people. And not because of love, but because that's just what life is. Life is about becoming better from day to day. And what makes that a special experience is if you can share those weaknesses and those triumphs with someone that you care about. And that's what makes The Dangers in My Heart such a great story. It is a highly complex, very deep, very emotional, very beautiful story wrapped up in a silly rom-com. That is incredible. And to be all honest, I don't know if I could even try to replicate something like this, because there is a lot of depth to this story. Now then, the degenerates on the internet will be all like, it's a bunch of preteens. They're all in middle school. Why on earth does this young girl have a big bust? Yeah, it's manga. Welcome to the world of manga. Welcome to the world of anime. Whoop-de-doo. What's important here to me is the story, and the story is strong. The characters are strong. The romance makes sense, and the character progression is beautiful. I wholeheartedly recommend The Dangers in My Heart. This is a fantastic manga. I'm really hoping that the anime is going to be great. This is one that you can definitely expect me and Scott to talk about when we get to the next anime season. But if you want to get a jump on that, definitely go ahead and start reading the manga. I'll leave a link for you in the description where you can go and you can check that out. And as far as good writing advice goes, something that I can definitely mine from this story that I can impart, even though it's a really brilliant and highly complex series that I just admitted I don't know if I could ever replicate, one thing that I will definitely say is this. On the subject of writing believable romances is this. It is okay to write characters that are a little bit silly and weird. At face value, Ichikawa and Yamada are total caricatures of kids that you might meet in a middle school. Absolutely. But you know what? Those caricatures exist for a reason. And one of the ways that you can actually create an in-depth character is begin kind of with a stereotype, begin with a caricature. Here we got our angsty depressed boy, and here we have our airheaded beauty girl. What can we then do with this right here? Well then, our depressed angsty boy actually has a heart of gold. Yes, we know that we've already seen that many times before. To spice that up, we're going to show that he actually has a really bad self-image, and that warring within him is this bad self-image and this desire to do good. That is something that is real and relatable. With Yamada, someone who realizes she might seem like an airhead, but you know what? She actually is very cognizant of what's happening around her, and she just has the good graces to not call people out on their BS. Maybe that should be done a little bit more often, but she doesn't want to rock the boat. She wants to be friends with everyone, and she understands how quickly people can slide to the bottom of the bottom rung of the social ladder if they aren't careful. She's playing a very complex game because she doesn't want to become an outcast. She wants to be friends with everyone. But she also realizes, you know what? I also understand how this game works. I understand there's people who are being fake, and I want to have a good friendship with someone who is going to treat me like I'm a real individual. And you get that within the story. You get to figure out which friends of hers, besides Ichikawa, are actually in-depth people themselves who look at Yamada as her own person and not just as some beautiful airhead. So that's one of the ways that you can build realistic, complex characters. Start off with a caricature and kind of build up from there and find things that will be weaknesses for them, strengths for them. How do they actually see the world? Because that's really who people are. We are a bundle of contradictions. What you then do from there is this. Romance is about finding out how cogs mesh. And so within this strange dichotomy of contradictions, with how people are so weird and everything, you find where that weirdness sticks. Oftentimes when we look at a relationship, we're like, I have no idea how those two people got together. That's because we're looking at it superficially. Your job as a writer is to look beyond the superficial and find out, what is it that actually brings these people together? Is it their love of dogs? Their differences in taste when it comes to candy? Do they happen to agree on the same toppings for pizza? Or is it that they have diverging philosophical or religious views, but they enjoy talking with each other despite their differences in opinions because they can be respectful to each other? Things like that are where connections begin and where romance can start. That isn't where romance necessarily blossoms and you're like, oh, the moment that they realized that they both love pineapple on pizza, I knew it. I knew they would get together. No, that's dumb. But rather, they both like talking about pineapple on pizza? Fantastic. You know what they're going to go? They're going to get some pineapple pizza, and then they're going to talk. They're going to get to know each other. And then either the guy or the girl is going to be all like, hey, you know what? You want to come over to my house like later on and we'll try out some making our own pizza because this pizza kind of sucks. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. And then boom, you're on the path to a great friendship and then hopefully to a great romance. I realize I've kind of gone really far off the rails with this particular tangent in writing advice, but hey, we're being realistic here. That's what we do here at Camille's Harem. We give it to you real. And I've been trying very hard not to say give it to me raw because freaking Rings of Power just sucks. Any case, The Dangers in My Heart doesn't suck. Please check out that manga. Get ready for the anime because it's going to be amazing. And if you are a writer looking for more great writing advice, please check out our other videos here on Camille's Harem. You can also head on over to our podcast found on Podbean, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, the works. We have writing exercises for all you novice authors out there over at our Pinterest page. And of course, we would love for you to join our ever-growing community of novice authors. Links for all of that and more are in the description below. And until the next video, y'all, tschüss.